first, get the color right, pop, and then we'll do, get the live chat up, and we are ready to roll. Let me just make sure we have all this going. Okay, Sinfuls is on board. How you doing, Sinfuls? Let's see, we got Dean on board. We got 3 people up so far. We'll wait a few minutes here. But this week we've had a busy week this week. A lot of calls and people contacting me with money issues here. Rodney is on board here. And they've been having problems with their bills. They're bringing in bills that are almost like new, but if you have one little tear, one little crease, one little mark on there, the banks are not taking them. The exchange places are not taking them. And as people get stuck with a lot of money over here, that's decent money, but it's just, they're just not accepting it. See, Lazy Larry's on board. Let's see. Let me start reading here. Rodney says, hello. Hello, Rodney. Michael's on board. How you doing, Michael? Dean on board. He says, hey, Rod. Lazy Larry Lee says, hello, Steven. Rodney, hello, good friend. Dean, let's see, we got 10 on board so far. But tonight we can open up, we can talk about just about anything tonight if you guys want. I'm open to just about anything. Some of you guys have been bringing up politics on my channel a little bit, which I'm okay with to a certain extent, but just kind of keep it calm and keep it low key. And I'm okay with that, you know, but if you start throwing jabs at people, I'm not cool with that on here. It's just not right. Sinful says, yes, crisp new bills only. One of the guys was worried. It's a guy, a friend of mine from Massachusetts, and when he heard people say you can't, some of the vloggers say you can't have any marks on the bills, he thought the stripe might be considered a mark, which it isn't. So he got the older bills and they didn't accept them. So it has to be all crisp new bills only. Yes, you're right, Sinfuls. Lazy Larry Lee says, hi, Sinfuls, have already thumb up. Okay, thank you, man. Let's see. Sleeve them. I have a flat wallet that I bought here. I forget where I got it. And that flat wallet has worked out really well, keeping my bills nice. But I don't have any American bills, but I do store money sometimes a little bit, just a small amount around the house. And Filipino money, you're not too worried about as much as you are the American money. But occasionally I do come in contact with some American money. And I don't store that too much. I get rid of it as soon as I get it. Sometimes people, if they owe me money or they need to give me money, they give me American money. And sometimes it can be a pain exchanging it, you know. Let's see, Sinful says, sleeve them. Chad says, hello, my friend. Let's see, TLM says, good evening from Quezon City. Hamish Stewart says, good evening. Sammy Chavez says, good evening, Kuya. Hello to you all. Good morning to the other side. Let's see, we're up to about 24, 8 thumbs up. Thanks, guys. Sammy Chavez, Kuya Larry, hello, good morning, Kuya. If you guys want to talk about anything, I'm open to just about anything. So we got let's see, we got a Filipino on board, Sammy Chavez. Let's see. Sammy, where you from? You're new to the channel here. Let's see, Young Boy Pete's T-Bone Steak. Like Steve was saying, always have backup. Can't trust ATM in the Philippines. Yeah, definitely. Lazy Larry says, Larry Lee says, hi, Sammy. Yeah, I just cut that video actually because of everything that was happening, the video that I just put out. I have a couple of videos in the can too to put out this month about some kind of controversial subjects a little bit. We had, Sinfuls was actually telling me this about one of the expat families, I guess, family channels. I guess they're having problems with, what do you call it, expats. They put an electric fence, electric wire around their house, I guess. So let's see. Sinful says, anything but politics, please, folks, and be kind to one another. There we go. Sammy Chavez says, I'm from Negro Oriental, Kuya. I'm your old subscriber, just so shy to comment. Okay. You can always comment, Sammy. It's okay. Let's see. Well, you're pretty far away, so you're down south. Let's see. She also says, Negros Oriental is part of Dumaguete City. Okay. Good to see. Welcome aboard, you know. Let's see. Young Boy Pete's T-Bone Steak. Italian guy in Pattaya got taken to the cleaners by a Thai lady who worked at Subway. That's not cool. I love Subway. That's my favorite place. I actually went out to Subway over at the I Alabang Town Center this week, and it was closed for renovations. And I went all the way over there to just take some subs home. But unfortunately, we went to Outback Steakhouse there, which was pretty good. I actually enjoyed myself over there. Let's see, Sammy Chavez says you wasn't see my comments in 13 Materas Kuya. He. Okay. Let's see. The other thing we're going to talk about, let's see, is this. There's a lot of guys over here having problems with their ATM cards getting eaten. We've had that problem this week too. This week here has been a money issue week. I'm not quite sure why, but everybody's been calling me about money issues, especially with transfers. I'm not sure if the Remitly and Western Union and all these companies are doing something and they're cracking down a little bit more, but I noticed there's a lot of transfer issues this week. Let's see. Sammy Chavez says, Kuya Larry, no work today. Mark Richards says, good morning from Michigan. Hi, Steve. Will my Sirius XM work in the Philippines? Sirius XM, from what I understand, does not work in the Philippines. I believe you can use it like through the computer, the Wi-Fi version of it, if you have the VPN on. Okay, that's what I've heard. I'm going off of what I was told like several years back, because I was actually looking into having Sirius XM over here, and I heard that you couldn't have the satellite version of it. It doesn't work over here for some reason. Now, I'm not 100% on that, so don't quote me on that. I'm just going off what I was told several years back. So, but maybe that's changed since then. Edward Hill says, good evening from Bacolod City. Hope to get with you someday soon. Sure, man. We're kind of busy around here lately, but if I can fit you in, I'll fit you in if you give me a call in advance. Semi Chavez says, True Kuya, some of my friends asking me that too. Let's see, Sinful says, Mark Richard, no. Mark Richard, hi, Sammy Chavez. Sammy Chavez says, Kuya Mark, good morning. Robert Simmons, hello. Sammy Chavez says, BFF, Robert, thanks for coming. Justin in Arkansas is on board. Is it one particular bank eating ATM cards? No, it's the people having like ATM card issues around here, and I'm not sure why they're getting their cards eaten. But I think it's people it's mostly new people, and I think they're dilly-dallying with it, trying to get more than $200, and that's what's happened. That's from what I've seen with most of the people so far, but it's kind of scary. I haven't had any problems at all with my ATM cards. But, I think if they keep on playing with it, I think the bank just takes the card, or the machine takes the card or whatever. So it's kind of scary, because we had a Chinese guy here. He had his card eaten, and a couple other people have called me and told me their cards were eaten also. Then we had a new guy come in. He was having problems with the money because he asked for older bills, but without the marks on them, because he thought the marks they wouldn't take them. And the mark is actually the ones that they want, the one with the strip going down. But we were talking about marks as in like people writing on a graffiti or something on the $100 bills. Let's see. Mark Richards says, hi, Sinfuls. Larry Lee. No, I am off Saturday and Sunday. Sinful says, hi, Mark. Francisco Fletes is on board. He says, hello. Lazy Larry says, hi, Robert. Sinful says, the satellites are not in range here. Yeah, I kind of figured that, because I heard you can get it like on... through Wi-Fi, if you have your VPN on, but that's not as good. It doesn't have like as good a signal, I guess. It doesn't sound as nice too. If you're a music, like an audio file listening to music or something like that, I would think that the Wi-Fi probably wouldn't sound as good. Maybe it does, depending. Sammy Chavez says, that's awesome, Kuya Larry. But I have like Apple Music, and the music sounds fine on there. I love it. So, but I've downloaded some of that music, and some of it I haven't, and it comes across really good. Let's see. Joe Fawn says, how long do you think 350K would last in the Philippines, living middle class? Wow. Let's see. 350K. Let's see. So that's 7,000. What? $7,000? It wouldn't last long. It would really depend if you're living on a low budget. If you're living on a low budget, it might last 7 months. If you're really living on a low budget and you're not going out, you're just living in your house, you have the basics, and that's it. Like I did a $1,000 budget for people that had to live on $1,000, and you can actually save on that. I don't tell people you can't live on 1,000. I tell people it's hard. I just don't like to see people coming over here living on like a 350,000, like you, that's for like good for like 7 months if you lived on that. But I tell people you need like an emergency account too with emergency money. And if you're coming over, if you're talking about living here, I mean, I'm not sure what exactly you're asking. You could live on about 7 months on that. I would say closer to like 5 if you wanted to live decent. But you're saying living middle class. I would say probably about 4 months, 4 to 5 months, living middle class. Now, I'm talking middle class American style. I'm not talking middle class Filipino style because it's a whole different world. If you look up one of my videos about where I talk about, I break down the classes. Middle class here is a lot different than it is back in the States. So remember that when we talk middle class as Americans here, I think we're talking about back home. Now, if you're talking about living middle class as a Filipino, that's kind of living poor back in the States. So there's two different birds there. So, but I would say probably about 4 months living middle class and going out to dinner and having a good time. About 3 to 4 months, 3 to 5 months, somewhere around there. It depends on you though. Robert Simmons says, I'm from Sami community. Chad Chivrell says, message retracted. Francisco Fleta says, Hulu and Roku channels work here. Yes, they do. Some channels I notice you have to have the VPN on, and once you start the channel or start a movie on there, if you shut off the VPN, it'll continue working because you only need it on the beginning is when it does the check. Okay, so just FYI on that. Not all channels. Some you need it on the whole time. Sinful says, Joe Fons, you mean US dollars, correct? If so, you're wise with your budget. A very long time. I think he said pesos. Let me go back to that. I'm not sure. See, I lost. Yeah, 350K. 350. Okay, if you're talking about dollars, wow, then that's a whole different ball game. I'm not sure. I'd have to break it down. It would take me a while to break that down. You could live a long time here on a long time, okay? But I'm not sure how long. I'd have to sit down and do the math and write down. Right now, I don't have the time to do the math. I thought you're talking pesos, okay? Sammy says, Joe, is that dollars or Philippine pesos? Hello. Let's see. Robert Simmons says, hello to everyone today. Joe Fons, yes, U.S. dollars. Okay, U.S. dollars. That's different. That's a different ball game. $350,000. Wow, that would last you a good decade. But it depends on inflation and stuff too. So it's really kind of hard to break that down. I wish I could give you more than that. I mean, if you talk to me in person, if you give me a phone call sometime, I'll sit there and break it down with you online, and we can talk about like what you expect out of your lifestyle. But you're also going to have to remember that there's inflation in that, and that kind of tosses up the fruit basket. So let's see. Robert says hello to everyone today. How you doing, Robert? Joe Fon says yes, U.S. dollars. Subfulls needed. Let's see. Robert Simmons says hello, host. Thank you, Robert. Rodney Beckner says, Steve, when applying for the SRV, can I apply years in advance before moving to the Philippines? No. You can if you come to the Philippines, that's when you apply. You actually start the process in the States. You start getting all your stuff together. You start getting your apostles. You start getting all that stuff, all your documents together. And then when you come here, you pass them in, and then you do the money transfer by calling your bank that night, and the bank does the transfer over to when you open your account here. You're going to open an account here. You're going to call your bank, so you have to tell your bank before you leave there. If you want to do that, Rodney, let me know when you're ready to do it, about 6 months before. I'll help you with the process, and when our agent works for free. She works off the application fee. She gets $500 from the application fee to the PRA. So it's not like some of these other consulting firms out there that charge you $1,000 or more in some cases. We do it just for what you pay the PRA, and I help you for free because I work off the channel money, okay, from ads and stuff like that. So I'll answer all your questions and help you with the apostles. We'll give you the same basic services that the other agencies will give you and more for free. The only thing that might run you like $70 or something like that, I do this as a service. I do it for free, but it's just you're paying for the car for me to get up there, and I'll take you in to see Mary Rose. She knows me. So we work together. I'll go to the bank with you to help you open your account. I'll take you to get your medical and all that stuff. and you pay Pax $70 for the ride, and I don't make a nickel off that, not even one penny. So you don't have to worry, and we help you with that. So if you need help with that, let me know. Sammy Chavez says, Sinfuls. Sinful says, hi, Sammy. Sinful says, hey, Francisco. Juliana Rodriguez says, hi, Steve. Will my Citibank card, it says will there, probably you mean work there. Yes, I have a Citibank card and I use it. I think you're talking about your credit card. If it's an ATM card, it should work too. As long as you tell them that you're coming here, it will work. Okay, Diamonds and Legends is on, but we just talked earlier. How you doing, Diamonds and Legends? Actually, I did a vlog tonight based on what him and the other guys were telling me, because I thought it was kind of dire that I put that out there, because there's a lot of new guys coming in here, and that's the number one problem they're having, and they're having big problems too, is money problems. Paul Gibson's on board. He says Tracy Martinez is an unusual name, like a lot of cities and towns in the Philippines. Do you know the history of the name? Yes, I do. It has to do with the Spanish killing 13 guys, and they called them martyrs. I don't know the whole history, but they have the statue downtown, which I did a video of the statue the other day when I did a video downtown, just kind of showing around town and stuff. And I have another video coming up tomorrow to the third part of the series. We have a guy that always asks me, he always likes watching the videos where I walk around. So we're going to try to do a little bit, maybe 2 videos a day, sometimes maybe even 3. Also, we might be doing videos with Justin on here once in a while, and have Justin give his perspective on the Philippines, and he can talk about anything he wants. He can do a long video, short video, whatever. And that should be interesting, because we're gonna really make this into more of a channel. Although it'll be a small channel, we'll have more things to watch on here, which will be kind of fun. And we'll also eventually we're gonna get out to Sinful's house, and we'll do a video on Sinful's house to show his home and show more like an upscale type living. Okay, so that should be something. In Francisco's house, I'm hoping I can get out there sometime soon too, but this month has been really busy, so I'm hoping this coming month I can probably get out there and do that. Let's see. Leonard says, hi, Steve from Houston, Texas. Off the beaten path. It says, I watch your video on ATMs and you get cut off on the end, like half your thing doesn't show up. Let's see, how much cash on hand is enough when card accepted most places. I'm not sure what it says, because it's missing a few words. It cuts it off at the end. I'm not quite sure why it's doing that, but it does. No, it won't let me. I watch your video, and I think it's how much cash on hand is enough when card accepted in most places. I always tell people to try to have like a couple hundred in their wallet all the time. Sometimes I have almost nothing, because I always count on the ATMs. I count on the ATMs a little bit too much sometimes, but most of the time I don't need that much money. I get what I need at the beginning of the month, so I have everything available in the house, and I work that way. I don't know how to answer you because I can't see all your thing on there. But Sammy Chavez says, Kuya Leonard, good morning. Maximus, good evening, Steve. How you doing, Maximus? So we got 68, 27 thumbs up. Thanks, guys. Sinful says, another good service for those that want music is Tidal. It has high quality MQA music. Yeah, I'm a big audiophile myself. I love the fact that you can get Apple Music, over here. I mean, I pay like $10 a month for that, but if if you're a Filipino, I think you only pay it's cheaper. It's like 20% of that cost for Filipinos, I believe. It's a lot cheaper if you register under your girlfriend's name or something. So you guys might want to check on it if you want to get good music. You can download whole albums and everything. You can download almost every album you want. There's very few that you can't. BJ says, hello, Steve. Good evening. How you doing, BJ? Diamonds and Ledges from the land of jeepers, small ants, and money issues. Oh, yeah. Leonard Lund says, good morning, Sammy. Robert Simmons says, hi, Leonard. Hey there, says Monty. Gary K says, 350K, not 35K. Okay. Lazy Larry Lee says, hello, Leonard. We got a lot of hellos going on here. Hi, Robert. Hi, Larry. Francisco Fleta says, does he mean 350K? Yes, he means US dollars. How long that will last? Middle class, he's asking, Francisco. I just don't have the calculator in front of me to figure it out. Otherwise, I'd do it right now. If you were living really high end, upper middle class, I would say that would probably last You could probably make that last 10 years if you wanted to. I think not upper middle class, but probably middle class, living fairly decent, um, pretty easily. I just don't have the breakdown in front of me. I wish I could do that right now, but I. Mr. McLovin says, I think he means, yeah, we know. Let's see. Robert Simmons says, "Hi, Larry." Mr. McLovin says, "That's a lot of money." Yeah, it is. 350,000 US dollars. That's a lot of money. I think if you did that in an annuity, you'd get a lot off that, man. If you put that in some sort of annuity, you could probably get a fairly decent percentage of, you know, interest on that, and live a little bit longer on that versus keep it in a bank where you're getting almost nothing. Maximus is it? Let's see. He has the same thing. Mike Akulian says you need to bring. He's basically saying like $1 million with you, and you need a 2,000K minimal a month pension. You have to factor in rent, food, transportation, visa fees, medical insurance, and phone. Yeah, but probably like about $2,000 a month. Yeah, because I tell people you need at least that. So if you divide that up by that, I tell people 2,000 is a sweet spot. I consider that my middle class back in the States. So just divide it by that. But you're also going to be getting interest on it. And it depends on how much interest you're getting. If you have it, in the stock market or something like that. But you could annuitize it too and try to get it that way. But just divide it by like about 2,000 or 1,500. The thing is, how much can you live off of? What's your middle class? For some people, 1,500 here is middle class. That's their idea of middle class over here. Me personally, I like the 2 to 3,000. I think Sinfuls would probably agree with me that to live like we do back home, you need the $2,000 to $3,000 a month. That's middle class over here to me, where you can go out to eat when you want and do what you want. ROV says rate 57.43. That's phenomenal, man. To have we're almost up to 58. That's pretty good. And people are saying we're going to probably hit that 58, maybe even 60 this year. This year. That's what they're talking about. So if that goes up to that, the Filipinos are going to be hurting, but you'll see inflation really take off. Mike Akulian says, bring 10,000 with you and make sure you have 2K monthly coming in, otherwise you're screwed. I wouldn't say you're screwed, but you need at least 1,500 or more for sure, Mike. But I agree with you. I myself like being in the 2,000 to 3,000 range in order to feel safe. And I'm in that range myself. I'm about to ready to hit that more. But when you include my money from the channel here, I'm closer to like the 4,000 range, somewhere around there. And I don't even have my Social Security yet. So I'm doing pretty good. But between everything, I have a municipal, I have a bunch of other stuff. I have some IRAs, 403Bs and stuff like that too. Larry Francis says, just seeing your money video, I use SendWave, no fees. That's interesting. I never heard of that company. That's a new one on me. It must be a new one. Maximus says he can live 20 years spending 17,000 a year. That's pretty good, Maximus. That's not bad at all, and the key is, if he has any emergency things and he takes off of that and he has like a heart attack and he has to take 50,000 off that's the problem. I think a lot of people would agree with that. You have to have, I would take 50,000 of that and minus that off and put that aside for health issues. Keep it in the United States so you could write a check or whatever. Sinful says, contact Steven5975 at yahoo.com. Yeah, if you guys need to contact me about anything, just, you can email me. It usually takes me 2 to 3 days now to get to emails, okay? Larry Francis says, PayPal, no good. I actually have PayPal, and I don't have any problems with PayPal. Actually, PayPal is pretty decent for me. I transfer any money that people transfer to me for anything, and I transfer it over to my American account and then transfer it over here, and I have no issues with it. Sammy Chavez says, yes, you can stay a long time on that amount, but if you don't care and trust the wrong partner, that's definitely a mess up. Boys, please remember, be careful. More scammers are too great to act. Yeah, if you come over here with 350,000 and you tell your girlfriend, that's a big mistake. I think anybody would tell you that over here. If you come over here and you meet a Filipina girl and you tell her you got 350,000, and say, well, let's start a business, let's do this. You'll make all kinds of money doing this here. No, don't start a business here. It's like throwing your money in the wind. The only businesses that I've seen here that have done well, actually, and I was actually kind of shocked that our channel has helped people like Pax with his transportation business. We've helped, and I brought this up before. We've helped the guy with the woodworking. We have a new guy now that we've just started with. One of the guys started using. We're probably going to use him more often as an electrician. He does really good, clean work. The way he runs his wires and everything. He's because the guys are really picky about the way their wiring gets done. We have the AC guy. We have a lot of people like that that have actually made a lot of money off of the expats. But I also have a guy up in Manila now. He's doing something similar to me, and he wants to help the expats. And I wouldn't say it's a business, but it's kind of a business. And he wants to help expats too. And and he's going to start using our services for the SRRV actually, because when I told him that we do it for free, he says, "Oh, I'll send people for the SRRV to you." But we also have another guy up in Manila that started a business also, just FYI. If you guys want to start businesses, he started doing like a taxi business. Now he hasn't contacted me in a while. I hope he contacts me soon because I haven't had he hasn't gotten back to me, and I need to get his information because I have a tendency to lose information because I have so much information coming through here during the day. So I hope he calls me back. If he's on here tonight, contact me. Armando D. Michelle says, "Hi, Steve. Glad to see your progress with the apartments. Is your daughter moved in?" Yes. She actually likes it. She's very happy over there. I'm going to do more videos of those when they're all finished. It'll probably take another month or 2 months to get everything done totally. And we always show the apartments anyway. We're having a problem with the paints. The paint's actually over in her house. It's chalking. We're probably going to have to repaint it, put a sealer over it to seal out that the lime that's coming through from the cement. So we're probably going to have to put a sealer on our house too before we paint over here, because we've been lucky, we haven't painted over here yet. So I'll probably put Kills or something over it or whatever. Let's see. Steve Ford says, "Hi Steve, watching from Portofino, Italy." Let's see. Dickie Spaz says, "PayPal sucks, randomly closing accounts without warning and no recourse." I've never had any problem though with that with PayPal. Never ever, Dickie. I've never even heard of anybody getting their account closed, to be honest with you, except maybe 1 or 2 people, and I think it was because they were worried about the way that the money was coming in and where it was coming from. Sinful says, "Juliana Rodriguez, yes, Citibank card works here. Most cards are no issue. Just make sure if needed you do a travel advice to the bank. Many now don't require that." Yeah, some of the banks do not require that. Some of the credit cards don't require that, but some do. They want you to put a travel thing on there, and sometimes you can do that on the app. Some of the apps will let you do that. I notice on the newer apps now, the updated apps, they're letting you go in there and tell them that you're doing a travel thing and you're going to the Philippines, and they ask how long you're going to be there. See, Mike Akulian says the Philippine retirement authorities should be in every consulate. They could make a lot of money, and it would be so much easier to do it here in the U.S. I'm not sure that would be a good idea. I think it's the way that they do it now is a perfectly fine idea, because if you come over here, it saves you money doing it over here. And I'll be honest with you, and I've noticed that if people back in the States have to pay for all the medical and stuff like that, you're going to pay through the nose for that stuff. Over here, you're going to pay almost nothing. Matter of fact, I think it's just either a small. I can't remember if they charged them last time I was in there or not. It used to be part of the Philippine Retirement Authority's fees that they would cover. That you just went there and did it. I'm not sure if that's charging. I think they started charging. If it is, it's a small fee. It's like $50 or something like that. It's not much more than that. But I mean, it's better to have it done over here, believe it or not. And everything's here, so they can do everything here. And they also have to go through BI. And sometimes there's issues that go on with police with background checks or something, and there's a minor issue on there. So what they do is they run you through Interpol, and that doesn't show up on Interpol because Interpol's all serious stuff, and then they'll let you in. Otherwise, they might not let you in for some of the minor things. So you have to remember that too. So there's ways that we can get around things over here, and they do that in the PRA. They try to help out the guys that are coming in here as much as they can. They're very helpful with the way that they work with our expats, with the veterans and stuff like that. They're very nice with the people here. I don't think I would want the embassies doing that, because the embassies are very sticklers on stuff, more so than the PRA is. The PRA, not that they're letting people slip through, but they kind of help you find a way to get in, and they'll help you do things. I'm telling you, I've seen a lot of people where they're almost ready to give up, and all of a sudden the PRA comes in and says, we can help you. And one of the things that they help people with is this: if you start from over here, and you don't have all your stuff apostilled, they'll give you your PRA card, but they give you 1 year to get those documents apostilled. And that's a big help because they're still giving your card out. And that's one of the ways that they help you. So just remember that, guys. Let's see. Dean and Jen says, hit the thumbs up, folks. Thanks, Dean. Let's see. Bradley Green says, arrive the 29th for retirement. See you at your next open meet and greet. Okay, Bradley. Let me know when you get here, and just tell me to add you on the list when you send me an email, and give me your information, your phone number, all that information, and we will send you things when we have get-togethers. Sammy Chavez says, BFF Robert, my pleasure as always. Micah Kulian says, you should start a business. I think that's a good service that should be rewarded financially. I could never let you do that for free. We don't really do it for free though. We make money off the channel each month, and we make anywhere from $700 all the way up to like almost $1,500 each month. And I do fine on my retirement, so I'm okay. Sometimes I tell people just, like my girlfriend will help people out finding homes and stuff like that. I says, just tip her, give her a tip or something like that. Or Pax will pick people up. He gets paid. And that's what I do this for, because I want to see those people make money. I want to see Pax make money. I want to see Romnick make money. I want to see those people that need the money make the money, because I have enough money. I'm okay. So, nobody has to feel bad, Chad says, thank you so much for telling me about Remitly. I use it now, and I'm so happy. My life's so easy now living in Borica. Yeah, Chad, I love Remitly because of the way it works. It tells you to wait a second, and it's really quick, and Western Union doesn't have that. It seems like it's like that. It's quick. It just moves fast, So Richard and Emu says, do you know if your driver Pax does long drop-off rides? Yes, he does. And I don't know where you're talking about, but he will do drop-off rides and stuff like that anywhere in Luzon. Anywhere in Luzon, he'll go. Okay, so if you need help with something like that, contact us, and I'll let you can always email me. I usually answer in like 2 to 3 days or whatever. But again, Steven5975@yahoo.com, and I can talk to Pax or send you his information, and you can talk to him, and he'll give you a price. Okay. And Steve P says, hey Steve, good chatting with you the other day. You are as helpful off camera as in the videos. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Mark Richards says, when the ATM eats your card, does it actually destroy your card? No. Sometimes you can go into the bank if you're near a bank, and I try to pick banks that are right there so I can walk in the bank and have them open up the ATM and give me my card back. So, and I've been lucky that I haven't had to do that, but I've seen other people do it, and they walk in, they get their cards back. But like, I think maybe once I've had it happen. I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember. Sinful says, let's hit the thumbs up, folks. Thanks. Friedrich von Paulus says, good for you. $1 equals 57 pesos. It's been like that for a little while now, but I think we're going to hit that 58 really, really soon. Mark Unk says, if you run a VPN, you can get Pandora Radio. Yes, you can. I use Pandora. I can't live without my Pandora Radio. Yes. I like Pandora. I don't listen to it that much. You know what I actually listen to that a lot of you guys might enjoy is this. I put on podcasts from Apple. If you have an Apple phone, it's really, really good. I put on podcasts, and I listen to a lot of the old radio things. And there's a guy that likes to talk about conspiracy theories and UFOs and stuff like that. Art Bell. I listen to Art Bell. And there's a guy from like the 80s and 90s or whatever, and he had a really interesting show, and he talks about all these different things about gold being buried, like the Lost Dutchman mine, or he'll pick some subject that's just kind of interesting, and it kind of keeps you going, and like you can listen to it in the background or whatever, and it's kind of peaceful to listen to him at night. A friend of mine, Rick, he likes Art Bell. He listens to him to go to sleep, and he gets to listen to that, and he likes it. Let's see. Glenda Vargas is on board. How you doing, Glenda? Glenda is actually one of our group. She says, good evening. How you doing, Glenda? Give me a call soon when you get a chance, maybe over the next couple of days or whatever. I want to talk to you about something good. You'll be interested to hear this. Juliana Rodriguez says, Steve, I am going to be coming soon to the Philippines. How long will it take to get your Social Security benefits when I come to the Philippines? You know what? They have a window at the embassy there. Okay, and you can walk up there and you can sign up in there, but you can also sign up online. A lot of people don't know that. But if you want, you can go to that window. I've actually taken people to that window. Okay, I'm not sure if you have to make appointments anymore because of the COVID. I think that's all done. That's passe now. Um, I think you can just go up there and sign up. And all the embassies in the world, from what I understand, all of them have social security windows you can go to, and they'll take care of you. Okay, and then you can sign up there, or you can go online and sign up. And you just put in all the information. Francisco Fletes says annuity may get 2K US per month for life. You know, yeah, the $350,000. To I forget the guy's name that said that. You may actually want to think about the annuity because that $2,000 would be pretty decent. And if you kick in Social Security on top of that, you're going to get money. You know, you'll get that plus you'll get your usual cost of cola raises and stuff like that. So you'll be living pretty good. You know, once you're in that 2K per month. But remember, you have to have that keep up with inflation. So that's the key. But yeah, annuity $2,000 per month, that'd be pretty decent. Mont Joe says, hey Steve, I'll be in Makati November 20th through the 25th applying for SRV. Mind meeting me? I'll gladly pay the car fare. Yes, that's no problem. Mont, if you want me to come, email me, ask me for my phone number, give me a call, and we will talk about this. Okay, it's just Pax's fee. It's just $70. I don't charge a nickel to go up there. If you want to pay my lunch or something at McDonald's, that's fine. And I'll take you through the whole process. I'll introduce you to Mary Rose. We'll pick you up at your hotel and we'll drop you off afterwards. It's well worth the $70. You know, depending on the gas prices, it could be $10 more. You know, it depending on if gas goes up again. But it's usually $70 for the day. And he'll take you, you know, like I said, we pick you up in the morning, we take you to the PRA with Mary Rose, we introduce you to Mary Rose, we get all the paperwork done there, we go from there, we then go to the bank, we set up your account, she gives you the information so that you can call your bank so you can send over the security deposit, whatever your amount is that you're going to be doing. And then after that, we go over to the medical, get that done, and you're golden for the day usually after that. Then you're done. Then you just have to wait for your SRRB card. So just FYI, that's the way it works. But yes, get in touch with me. Okay, Sinful says an annuity on that amount of 350K would be 1,500 a month. Okay, that's a little bit lower, but still not bad. 1,500 a month is not bad, but it's not great. I don't know if he's going to have some money later on coming in, or if he didn't mention. Francisco Fletes says, okay, less than I thought. LOL. Francisco Fletes says Pandora and Spotify are big here. Yeah, some people love those. I like I said, I like Apple for regular music, but I do like listening to. There's a radio show. I'm sure you guys have heard of her, Delilah. If you're just relaxing around the house, just put that on, and she's awesome. I love her. You know, and she always has like kind of funky stories to tell or something like that. But I do like the podcast also. Dean and Jen says, hi Glenda, how are you? How are things going with you? Let's see. Sinful says, with that amount of money initially, you should buy a good health plan. Yes, you're right, Sinful. But I think he could also self-insure if he put aside 50K of that, or even 70K, if you wanted to, make sure that he was really, really safe, and possibly still get like a Pacific Cross plan, like for where they cover up to, $30,000 or whatever, like the plan I have, because I think that's a decent plan, for like minor things, minor surgeries, things like that. I mean, if you have a heart attack or something, that's going to cost more. Francisco Fletes says any hospital at a top hospital here would, for a prolonged period of time, would cost you 10 to 20K USD if you are uninsured. Yes, but the Pacific Cross plan would pick up 10 to 20K depending on which plan you have. If you have the higher end one that covers 30K, you would for one visit, you'd be good, Michael L says PayPal Zoom has bigger fees than Wise. Yes, but PayPal, if you wait 1 to 4 days, the fees are almost nothing, or zeros in some cases, I believe. Philip Jones, if you want to be a millionaire in the Philippines, bring 2 million with you. If you want to be, I don't think anybody's going to be a millionaire in the Philippines. But that's funny. Bring 2 million with you. Yeah, because you're going to lose $1 million quick. Like, like that. I've heard that joke before. Sinful says, Dickie Spaz, hey, they keep emailing me to check my security. LOL, phishing. Lazy Larry Lee, channel is cutting in and out. Is this just my end? It must be your end, because actually this end, we got really good signal here. I don't think anybody else is cutting out. RLV is on board. He says, PH International Motor Show at World Trade Center, Pasai until tomorrow. That's cool. That sounds like a good take. Sinful says, no, Lazy. Lazy Larry Lee says, Sinful, thanks. Sinful says, Steve's connection, again, an issue, it seems. Sinful, you're having an issue with the signal? Because it seems like usually it's not an issue. We're not having any connection problems here. I'm not sure why people are having connection. Anyway, Dean and Jen Thompson is good. I thought it might be me too. LOL. Rodney Beckner, thank you for your help, Steve. Once my wife and I are getting a little closer to moving back to the Philippines, I'll give you a shout. Okay, man, that's fine. Let me know. Let's see. Lazy Larry Lee, is it still worth watching? Sinful says, Bradley Green, great to hear. Congrats. ROV, Chinese pogos are becoming a problem again for the locals. I haven't heard that. That's interesting. We just had a Chinese Canadian guy come in here. He's having like money issues already since he's gotten here because he's having banking issues, but he got it resolved today. Sinful says, Steve, yes, you need a sealer first. Yes, definitely. Francisco Fletes, any advice on best backup Wi-Fi in Silang, Cavite? Sinful Steve, I have PLDT as my primary, but I haven't signed up for backup yet. I'm considering Globe Fiber versus Converge. You want to know something? If you live in a house and you have good data on your phone, if you want to have backup that's going to work almost constantly, I would tell people to get one of those smart things that uses the towers and have that in your house. Even though it's slower, at least you'll have internet. And you can watch stuff on there depending on the data speed off of that. You can usually watch TV and listen to music on there and stuff like that. It's not super fast. But I will tell you that most of the people that I've heard that use it said if it depends on the area you live in, on how close to a tower you live, and if you live close enough to a tower where you're getting good reception on your phone, you can probably use that. If you can use the hotspot on your phone in your house and it works okay, these will work. You just go to the local smart or PLDT place where they sell the cards there and ask them to get one of those hotspot things. And don't get the cheap one, get the really, really good one. And that's a great backup because you put a load on it like you do your phone. Okay, so you just put a load on it when your thing goes down, you put the load on there. And it'll work. So I hope that helps answer your questions. Let's see. Philip Jones says PayPal will freeze your account for 180 days and not give you a reason. I paid my kids and his roommate's rent when they sent the money. PayPal froze the account. That's kind of whacked out. I've never had that happen. I used to do eBay stuff. And I use PayPal all the time for receiving money and everything. I never have since had an issue. I've sent money to people. I've paid for things and everything else. I mean, I have PayPal a credit line too. John Bergeron, I have Direct Express card and have to call them every 6 months international use. See, Dickie Spaz says, yeah, I never had issues with PayPal over 17 years when they closed my account with no warning or explanation. I only use it for money transfers and automatic bill pay. That's weird though. I don't know. I do think that there is something going on. Maybe it's a government thing going on, and they're clamping down a lot more or whatever. Philip Jones says never leave money in your PayPal account. They won't even let me close my account 2 years later. See, Rodney Beckner says, Steve, Cecilia and I married about 10 years ago in the Philippines. Will the transition for our paperwork be smoother? Cecilia has never given up her Filipina citizenship. If you're talking about the SRRV, you shouldn't have any issues. Just make sure you tell them that you're married and everything. And make sure you talk to Mary Rose. Go through Mary Rose. I'll give you all the information if you're going that. If you're gonna definitely go that route, use Mary Rose. Um, don't just go through the PRA because you need an agent. Justin in Arkansas says Schwab and Fidelity only let me do 3 month travel notice. USAA let me do indefinite. Yeah, my bank, I gave them a written thing and it's good for a year. Every December they stop it again. Sinful says Mark Richard. No, it does not destroy. I had my crypto Visa card get sucked in. The bank just gave it back to me, of course, after filling out papers, signing 3 times with 2 IDs. That's crazy. Dickie Spaz says, that's bad, Philip Jones. I did some research and there are 4 class action lawsuits against PayPal for deceptive practices. I hope they go bankrupt. Let's see. Juliana Rodriguez says, how long does it take to get your Social Security benefits in the Philippines? Let me know, Steve. 2 months. They tell you, I believe it's 3 months, but it takes 2 months, if not quicker. Because we had a guy, he put it in December, and I believe he got it in January. We had another guy put it in, and I think he got it in February. So it's really fast. They tell you 3 months just to play it safe, but it's less than that. Trust me. And anything that they owe you back, like if they go back to that time, you'll get a big check your first time. You know what I mean? So don't worry about it if it takes 3 months. But it doesn't take 3 months, Juliana. It doesn't. It's really fast. Okay, so just because you're in the Philippines, don't think that's going to be slow. That's U.S. That's from the U.S. And just attach it, have the money sent to your U.S. account versus over here. Okay, and then you're better off. So, because you don't want your account over here to go over 10,000. Okay, because of the fact that you have to fill out FATCA reporting in some cases. So be careful about the FATCA. I tell people to keep their big sums of money in the U.S. Okay, I mean, some people say FATCA is not a big deal. It's not, but you do have to fill out the forms. Okay. Sinful says Francisco Fletes, I don't have a good answer. We are living in Camella Homes, and they had their own service, which is only okay. Dean and Jen Thompson, Francisco Fletes, we have only had our PLT go out once for $5.99 PH. I get additional 200 plus gigabytes of additional data, and we use that to support our devices and TV with Smart Gigalife. That's pretty good. Let's see. Dickie Spaz says, Art Bell, LOL. I know. I like Art Bell. Sinful says, Steven5975 at yahoo.com. You guys might want to write that down if you ever need to contact me. Dean and Jen says, we live about 10 minutes from Silang and Carmona. So Dean lives in a good section. So they have good cell towers out there too. We kind of have good cell towers, but I kind of live over the side of a hill. It's funny too because I live right next to the mayor, and we still don't get really great cell tower stuff around here. You think we would, because we have the Tower Mall, and you'd think that they would put cell things up there. And I'm not sure if they have any stuff up there. I've yet to check on that. Francisco Fletes says I had one USAA card sucked up. USAA FedExed me replacement card, got it here in about 3 days. Since then, I asked them for a backup ATM card. They sent it to me. I keep one home locked up in the wallet. That's good. Some banks won't do that. My bank told me that if I wanted to have them mail me a card, they said I would have to change my address to my Filipino address and then change it back later. And I'm not willing to do that. I told them, I says, I'm not willing to do that. So they won't do that with me. They'll send it to my sister's address, because that's my address. And then she has to send it to me. Philip Jones says, Dickie Spaz, I hope they shut them down. They won't even give me a reason why they froze my $1,800 US for 180 days. I got it back exactly 180 days. That's crazy, man. If they locked your account for 180 days with that much money in there. Philip Jones, PayPal won't let you remove your bank account information. Yes, I did notice that. I tried to change my account information one time, and they gave me a problem. But I still use them, and I don't have any problems. I just added it on there over and above the old one and just let it sit there, even though it's a non-existent account now. K Fox, hi all. Wish you all a great Saturday. Thanks, K Fox. Sinful says he gives a thing there for Social Security claim online function. So let me tell you something, guys. Social Security, if you go on and you open your account on there, it gives you all the information about how much you're going to get. It has like a sliding thing. You can slide it, and it'll tell you how much you're going to get at each age. So you guys might want to check on that sometime and start an account on there if you don't have it already. Justin in Arkansas says a guy online is still saying Mary Rose retired and is not taking new people. I'll have to check into that, Justin, because she hasn't told me anything. I think that's a bunch of baloney because she would have told me, and she didn't tell me she was retiring. I'm gonna have to write to her and ask her, but that's still a no. She would tell me for sure first, because her and I are like this, you know. Dickie Spaz, me too, Philip. Let's see, another guy here. He calls himself pooping while standing. Uh, do you think female nature is universal or non-Western women are different? Um, that's a tough one because I think Filipinos have the same issues that some American women have, but they're just different. They're definitely different over here. I'm not saying, I think the women over here, like if I had to say the women of the 1980s over here are different than the women of today that are over here, I would say there's definitely a difference. Okay, I would say the women from the 1980s that I saw over here were much different than the Filipinos of today. Not to say that they still don't have that sweetness and stuff. There's also a certain toughness from some sections too. So I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. I think I kind of answered it a little bit for you. I hope. I don't know. But American woman and Filipino woman definitely different. But when a Filipino woman goes over there, they take on the traits of the American woman for sure. Not always, but most of them do. Will Crow, with rising interest rates, annuity payouts will be rising. Probably a good idea to wait a few months. Yes, yeah, that's true. You might be able to get that 2,000 a month or something like that if you wait a little bit longer. Times 57 pesos equals 85,500. Yeah, the rate of exchange rate would be phenomenal here. Not bad per month here. Yes, you're correct, RLV. That's thanks for doing that, man. I would have did that if he was talking. I would have did that if he was talking to me on the phone, but I couldn't. Sinful says I am me on the phone, but I couldn't. Sinful says I am good up to 5K US dollars on my plan. That's good. I could do that too for a few bucks more. I think it's like another 1,000 or something like that per year. And eventually, after Joanne finishes college, I'm gonna change all my stuff for sure because I'll be older then. You know what I mean? So it'd be worth it to do it. Sinful says, "Do not. No, you cut out and then came back up. You picked right back up. Yeah, I'm not gonna go down yet. If it keeps on doing it, then we'll call it a night, guys. But I'm not leaving and going anywhere yet. So let's hope we don't have any more problems." Gene Lamb is on board. Says, "Hi, Steve. This is Gene from Georgia. Hope you and your family are doing fine." Yes, we're doing great. Thank you. Have Haven Personal Care. Yep. Hopefully, Elon Musk will have Starlink up and running by mid 2023. I heard by December was the last thing I heard that they were going to start sending those out in the Philippines. I think the one that people would want to get would be like the motorhome ones, so you can put it outside and build a base for it or something like that. Just make sure kids can't play with it or nobody can damage it, and that's the problem. You'd have to put a fence around it, and make sure you put barbed wire or something around it to protect it. Those are expensive, so keep them safe if you're gonna have Starlink. That's what I worry about. Is Starlink is putting something outside my house because you could have people touching it, playing with it, or something like that. If you live in the gated community, you're a little bit safer. If you live outside the gated community, you're probably gonna have to do something to protect your Starlink. Gene Lim says, "I will be in the Philippines this Christmas season." Get in touch with us, Gene. If you ever want to get in touch with one of us and go to one of our meetings or something like that, let me know. Regard Dan's D. Mirior. Hey, Steve, Nick here. Are you feeling inflation pinch at the grocery store over there? In general, last week, Fed reported 8.3 annual% rate for past 12 months ending August 2. Yes. Yeah, we feel it over here. Sure. Absolutely. I see it in the stores. I see it at McDonald's. I see it when I go to eat at Outback. I see it when I go shopping. But definitely, the exchange rate has helped us a lot over here. Probably more. We're probably doing better off over here than you guys are back in the States. I'm here because you guys I'm hearing rents back there, even for a 1 or 2 bedroom, is like $2,800 in some places, or more. So. He also goes on to say, "I'm definitely seeing it here." Sperlin Edwards is on board. Hello from Iloilo. Let's see. How you doing, Sperlin? Dickie Spaz says 13% inflation here in Phoenix. Gas still over $4 and groceries rising. Sinful says it was, I think, Pacific Prime, something like that. I can get info later. Pacific Prime is the brokerage place, Sinfuls, and yes, you can get all kinds of good insurances through there. Yes, there's Pacific Cross and there's Pacific Prime. Pacific Cross is an insurance company. Pacific Prime is a brokerage house that sells insurance, and you can get almost any insurance that you want through them. They have all kinds of insurance companies, and they're a good company to work through too, by the way. And they're one of the companies that I tell people to go to, and you'll get quotes from all different companies, and you can change what you're looking for. If you're looking for $1 million insurance, you can change it down to $500,000. If you want to have a deductible, they'll send you a quote with a deductible, and you can keep going back and forth with them until you're happy with what you have, and then just tell them, okay, I'm going to take this plan here. For anybody that's diabetic, though, make sure that you have the thing on there for the kidney dialysis. Remember that's important, okay? Because a lot of diabetics need the kidney dialysis later on, so make sure you have that put on there. Most plans in the Philippines don't have that. They leave it out because it's very prevalent over here that people get kidney dialysis, so be very careful. Dickie Spez says, thanks, I'll research that later. Let's see, regular guy in the Philippines. Steve, how much longer is your mayor remaining mayor? Well, she just got in there again. They re-elected her in there. I think she's got, 4 years? 4 years? 3 years? I'm not sure, but she just got in there again, so she's in there for another term, whatever that term may be. Maybe it's 2 years or something like that, I think. I'm not sure. I don't really follow their politics too much. Runs with Knives says, Dickie Spaz, just wait until the midterms are over and the taps go dry at the strategic oil reserves. Regular guy in the Philippines says, Steve, why doesn't your daughter get along with you? My daughter back home, it's a long story. I'd rather not get along because we get into it on here. It's not a story I like to talk about really. It's not that I don't love my daughter. I do. I wish we had, we talked back and forth a little bit. But I mean, my daughter here, I love my daughter here. But my daughter back home, we had some issues and we don't see eye to eye on things. I think she's part of that culture that, everybody talks about back home. And I think I've seen a lot of that with my family back home, and that's why I just kind of said I just gotta move along from this and just move on because I didn't want to live in that. You know what I mean? That's one of the reasons why I come over here. I didn't want to be around without family over there. I had family members there, but I didn't see them often because they were too busy working or whatever. And I here I am. I was heading up towards retirement. I says, I said a long time ago I was gonna live somewhere sunny and in the tropics, and that's why I come over here. But that's as far as my daughter. It's not something I really want to get into on here, but I kind of gave you like a brief synopsis to give you like a rough idea. Regards says, Dickie, Charleston, South Carolina here. Tucson transplant. I used to live in Charleston. I used to live in North Charleston for a while. And I owned property down there out on Dorchester Road. I'm trying to think of the name of the place. I can't remember. It was such a long time ago. And I had another place in not Dorchester, in North Charleston also. I had a couple of rentals down there a long time ago. Chad Chiverill says, hey Steve, just downloaded the Art Bell radio show app. Thanks so much. I love listening to his interesting topics. Thanks again. Yeah, it's not just him on there in those podcasts. There's a lot of stuff you can get on there. You can get, like, if you're into like Christian things you want to listen to, you can get all kinds of stuff on there. You can get listen to other shows like Art Bell. You can get a lot of the old shows on there. You can get news shows. You can get Fox News. You can get CNN. You can get all that stuff is on there. It's all on there. Anything you want to listen to, anything back home, any of the famous radio talk shows back home, they have all the old broadcasts too. So it's kind of cool listening to that. Francisco Fletes says, I live right on the border between Santa Rosa and Tagaytay. Globe signal not great. Smart is pretty good. Regular guy in the Philippines says, regard, Tucson is my favorite American city. Dickie Spaz says, runs with knives, things not looking good, that's for sure. Runs with knives says, Dickie Spaz, nope, not at all. Blue Dale says, watching your advertisements in full to support your channel and work. Thanks, Blue Dale. I really appreciate that. A lot of you guys don't know this, and some of you guys do, the regular watchers, but I mean, if you guys watch my ads, it really, really helps out the channel a lot. If you just let them run, I really appreciate it, because that's the only thing that we ask is, that, we don't ask for like any super chats, as you know. You don't see it on here. We don't ask for any of that, and I don't like to put that on here either. And if you just watch my ads or just let them play, you don't even have to watch them. Just let them play through. That is a big help for the channel. And like I said, a lot of the money from the channel goes to helping people around here. Okay, and we also help. We help the orphanage down the street here. We also have a couple of people that have helped chip in to pay the orphanage down the street. They help make donations, and usually I don't take donations. So what I do is they send it to me, and I pay. I get them a receipt and I send it back to them. So that way I'm not considered a nonprofit organization or something. I'm just a go between. Which you have to be careful of that over here too. So, but I mean, and I'm not asking for donations, by the way, because but I do that for those two guys, and they actually help support that place pretty good. There's 30 special needs kids down there. Let's see. ROV says gas here around $1.30 a liter. Dickie Spaz says regard. I love visiting Tucson. John Fetchko says I can't. Can I start retirement visa in the Philippines? Yes, that's where you started. But John, you have to get all your stuff together back home. Okay, remember that. So just keep that in mind, okay? Mark Richard, I downloaded Simple Radio on my cell phone, and I listened to Art Bell on 2 stations, the very best of Art Bell and the ultimate Art Bell. Yeah, they have some shows that are better than others. Let's see. Pooping while standing says sounds what I've seen, and even in Sweden is conducting a study as to why their men aren't marrying Swedish women and going overseas instead. That's funny. And Swedish women are pretty decent too, because I'm Swedish myself. I have family over in Stockholm and over in Malmo. Okay, I have a lot of family over there. I have cousins over there. I have my niece over there in Sweden, and I know they're having a lot of issues over there with stuff. And I think that the socialism thing doesn't help them any either. They're also starting to realize that socialism doesn't work over there, but some of the people do like it there. So I mean, you always get some that do and some that don't. Francisco Fletes says I converted tourist visa to SRRV, started whole process and did everything from here. I didn't even have police clearance. They did Interpol. Yeah, a lot of times they do Interpol, by the way, clearance instead. Took 4 months start to finish. Yeah, it doesn't take that long. Sinful says my estimate was a quick search on that 350K. I am sure you could shop around and find a good annuity with that amount. Yeah, you might be able to do better. I think you might be able to do like 1,700 or 2,000 if you wait a while and the rates go up higher. Runs with Knives says good luck trying to find a 1-bedroom in my area for less than 1,000 a month. Well, in Massachusetts, you can barely touch anything you're lucky if you get a room for 1,000 a month now. Regard says Dickie Spaz, yeah, 32 years there, moved to Chucktown in 2018. James Franklin says VA is my annuity. Sinful says Dickie Spaz, it cost me $1,846 for the year, but I had previous cancer, etc., even though I am free of that. Let's see. Dari says if you turn 62 in 2022, you will get the next COLA in 2023 raise, even if you're not drawing from SS yet. The current projection is right around 8.7 based on the best scenario and numbers of July and August. That's interesting. Let's see. Dickie Spaz says Sinfuls, that's great news. Best of health to you. Darius says with projected September numbers. I think people on the VA and both Social Security can be doing really, really good next year if you live over here. And not to mention that we're going to be getting the 57-1 probably still, if not more. I think all of us will be living pretty well over here. So we got 89 people, 63 thumbs up, guys. Let's see. Thank you, guys. Yusef says, good morning, Steve. How you doing, Yusef? Francisco Fletes says, it's great that the VA has the COLA. Yes, because that makes a substantial difference. Pooping while standing says, feminism indoctrinates woman. And I think a lot of guys that are back home are probably wondering why he calls his name that. And I'm gonna guess why he calls himself that is because a lot of the Filipino toilets over here don't have toilet seats. If you go into some people's homes in some of the towns and stuff like that, or even in here, we had to put in all regular toilets. We had to change the toilets because they had the Filipino toilets in here, and that's probably why he uses that name. I'm just guessing, but because they don't have a toilet seat, so you have to kind of hover, you know. Armando says, I tried to open an account in PH and they said that a foreigner can't open an account. That's not true. If I open a company with my girlfriend, will the company be able to have an account? You can open an account over here. If you're not on the, even people on the tourist visa have opened up accounts over here. It just depends on what bank you go to and stuff like that. I don't know what bank you're going to, Armando, but that's just not true. And if you're on the SRRV, it's even easier to open an account. Sinful says, Dickie Spaz, my plan is Healthcare International through Pacific Prime. Pacific Prime is fantastic, Sinfuls. They have a lot of good plans on there. Regular guy in the Philippines, Armando, some banks are easier for foreigners. Yeah, you have to go from bank to bank and check with them. There's a bank over here in Dasma, and it's a BDO bank, and they will not open accounts for some expats. And then yet you go in SM and Tracy, and they'll open up an account for you. It's really weird. So it depends on which branch you go in and all that stuff. And it depends on the manager, because they're getting people in some of these banks and they don't even know what their own rules are in each bank. Some of the managers will say, no, expats can't open accounts. But then you go to the next branch down the street and they'll say, yes, you can. So it's like, it depends on where you're going. And I mean that because I've talked to people that have gone to DASMA and they said, you can't open an account there. And then some people will tell you that they can. It depends on who you go up to, who you walk up to, and when you walk in, But in SM Tracy here, we haven't had many problems here. So most of the guys have all been able to open up accounts here, with the exception of one. And I think it was for a different reason. Because he wasn't SRRB. And he had some other issues too. So, let's see, James Franklin says, yeah, read that they are going to start offering $40,000 life insurance for some. Yes, you're talking about the VA, I think. Yes, they're going to have some sort of life insurance. I think it's a little bit expensive, though, to be honest with you. Yusuf says, Steve, if money or family situation wasn't an issue, would you still have been happier in the Philippines versus the U.S.? Now, you're asking, that's a big question. If money or family situation wasn't an issue. You know something? I don't really have, like, a money issue. You know what I mean? I could have kept working, and I could have taken some of my retirement money and kept on working if I wanted, and had all kinds of money. And I was actually thinking about doing that, but my dream was to always go someplace like Belize or here. And originally, my first plan was Belize, and I changed that when I started talking to my girlfriend, because things weren't working out in Belize with the girl I was talking to down there, and I started talking to Badette. And I'm okay. I'm okay down here, and I like it here actually better than back in the States. I do miss places and some people back home, but no, I wouldn't give this up. No, because it's a nice living over here. I'm happy where I'm living. I'm happy with my family. I'm happy with my friends. I mean, I got like Rich, Dean. I got the guys here. A bunch of guys here. Stan, Gary, all those guys. I got a great bunch of Justin. A great bunch of guys here. We got Rich coming, Rich and Debbie, a whole bunch of people, and a whole bunch of friends here. And I love my friends, because we're like family here. We really are. When we meet up, it's like it's like a family gathering more so than it is a expat gathering, and I mean that sincerely too. It really is. I think pretty much that Sinfuls would say the same thing, because he goes. Let's see. Dickie Spess says, I screenshot that info, Sinfuls. Much appreciated. Yusuf says, regular guy in the Philippines. Nice video you did about your encounter with Philly. Let's see. I didn't see that. I'll have to watch that. Let's see. Regular guy in the Philippines. Yusuf, thanks, man. I usually don't watch other channels too much. I'll have to check that one out. Dari, I actually like Philly in the Philippines to a certain extent. I like his older stuff. I like I used to watch JLB. A lot of you guys probably don't know who that is. He used to come here a lot. I'm not sure if he does. I'm going to have to check out his stuff. I haven't seen any feed from him at all. And he used to do the walkabouts in Manila. And I used to enjoy them because he used to run into some interesting characters. It was kind of fun to watch. And it was a good clean channel, but he kind of changed his channel a little bit. It's still a fairly decent channel, but it's not what it was. Dari says, I read somewhere that a guy made a large transfer from the U.S. to a BDO bank. The money disappeared. It was like 35K transfer U.S. I've heard some bad stories with all banks here. And some people talk a lot of crap here too. And I'm not sure if some of those stories are true, because I've heard people say stuff like that. And then when I you know, sometimes it's just kind of fishy when people say something. They throw a lot of stuff out there, and some of it just doesn't stick to the wall. I'll just say that, okay? I think BDO is a pretty decent bank. They've had some problems, but I don't think that they've had 35,000 disappear. Maybe it did, but I have my doubts when people say stuff like that sometimes. Armando says, regular guy in the Philippines. Thanks. I tried BPI. Do you have a bank to suggest? Um, I don't really like BDO, but I think it's the only bank that you can really work with over here. But I think China Bank, and people think that's Chinese owned. It's not. It's Chinese, Filipino Chinese. Okay. Um, let's see. It kind of popped up. Everything popped up here. I got to go back to Hold on a second, guys. My whole thing just popped up. My feed. Oh, here we go. Okay. Dari, it had to be an inside job at BDO. Not sure. That's interesting to hear. Maybe it did happen then. I don't know if it made the news or not. But sometimes people do talk some crap here. Francisco Fletes, you have to be crazy to transfer 35K US dollars at once. Yes, I would do it in small pieces and take it out little by little. Anybody on here, and you might want to heed this warning, never send large amounts over here because you're talking about FATCA reporting. Okay, so just be careful about stuff like that. With anything over $10,000, I wouldn't even send 5,000. I'd send it in little spurts and get it. That would take it out, make sure you got it, and then send the next thing. But somebody to send 35K, no way. Regular guy in the Philippines, Armando Di Michelle. I think it's China Bank or Commerce Bank. Just requires a passport only. Yes, China Bank is actually an up and coming bank over here for some expats that are finding out that it's not a Chinese bank. Okay, so, and you walk in there and there's nobody there, which is phenomenal. So you walk into the bank and there's nobody there. And that's a good thing when you walk in there. Because you go to BDO, you got to wait in line for 2 to 3 hours, even to use their ATMs and stuff. And you walk into a China bank and you walk in there and there's nobody there. There's nobody using their ATMs hardly at all. And I'm thinking about actually switching over at some point and open up an account there, and I might actually do that probably next year. Is open up a China Bank account, and I'm almost sure that I'm going to do that and get out of BDO permanently, or have 2 accounts. James Franklin says that that's the VA life insurance. Yes, we're talking about the VA life insurance. Okay. AJ Pat says thoughts about the passing of the UK's Queen Elizabeth. She'll be laid to rest on September 19th, Monday, next to her husband Prince Philip. My thoughts on that was, I'm not from the UK, but I have a lot of respect for the Queen. I remember my father talking about her, that she was like a mechanic and a driver during World War II and stuff like that. And here's a person that had a future as the Queen, and she was helping out in World War II doing things, and she was old enough to go all the way back to that time. I mean, think about that. She was around when Churchill was around, and that's pretty amazing when you think about it. I mean, the lady was in her 90s. My godfather, he's 99 years old. He was over in Guam during World War II. When you think about somebody that lived that long, that's pretty incredible. It's just an amazing thought, though. Let's see, my thing just shot up again. Hold on a second, guys. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Yusef says, Steve, what's your favorite Elvis song? I'm not a big fan of Elvis. I used to live near the Cape Cod Melody Tent in Hyannis, Massachusetts, and I used to sneak over there. And one of the people that was there actually was Elvis Presley, and he was singing there. I remember hearing him, and we used to sit on the side of the hill right near the Melody Tent. We could hear them singing, and we got to meet some of the guys from Sha Na Na. I got to meet Jim Neighbors. I got to see Eddie Murphy, people like that. I got to see a lot of the famous people that played at the Cape Cod Melody Tent, both comedians and singers and stuff like that. And we got to hear Elvis. We didn't get to see him, but we got to hear him singing, which is it was kind of cool. But I don't have any real favorite songs by him because he wasn't somebody that I grew up during that generation. You know what I mean? I really didn't like Elvis that much, to be honest with you. I'm more of a heavy metal, soft rock type music person, and the music that he sang, yeah, it was a little rock and roll and stuff like that, but it was a little bit different than our style, growing up. Amanda says, regular guy in the Philippines, thanks. I will go on my next visit next February. Diary says, China Bank allows you to withdraw larger amounts of money at one time per day. That's pretty good. That's one more reason to go to China Bank then, right? Levels of madness. You're Swedish. Well, if the Swedish woman looked like you, I will stay in the Philippines. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Um, Regular guy in the actually, Swedish women are very beautiful. There's a woman vlogger. She's blonde and she does these beautiful, beautiful vlogs of her walking in the woods at night with the aurora borealis and stuff like that. And she shows herself working like at night chopping wood and stuff like that. And it's kind of interesting to watch her because she shows her lifestyle there and she lives way out. And she's like in her probably like 20s or 30s. She does beautiful photography. She's a beautiful woman too, and it's just nice to watch it. Regular guy in the Philippines says China Bank ATM pays out in 500 bills, which is helpful. Yes, that helps a lot. Larson Farm says, how long until you think the Philippines will legalize cannabis? I don't think they'll ever legalize it. I don't think they ever will. Just being honest with you. I heard that Belize is thinking about it, which is kind of, down there. Everybody likes to, get into that stuff. And they practically grow it down there, in some sections of Belize, illegally, of course, but it's a big thing down there. But I don't think they'll ever legalize it here. I'm not really big into that stuff either. I don't, I barely even drink. Armando says, true, the 500 peso bills are much easier than the 1,000 pesos for getting change and smaller purchases. Yes. Mike Ingalls says, what is your take on owning a business out there? Well, I don't believe that it's worth owning any business in the Philippines because I don't think that we can profit out here like a Filipino can. Most of the businesses out here, they're just a money pit. Do not invest in the Philippines. That's I'll say that 1,000 times till I die here. I've yet to see many businesses here that will make it. In fact, a lot of the guys that I've talked to in the past that I've gave them that warning have come back to me after spending huge amounts of money down here, huge amounts, sometimes hundreds of thousands, and come back to me and says, "You were right, Steve. It's people are impossible to work with. In the Philippines, to build things, you have to pay money to get this done and that done. There's a lot of things that you have to do to get things done here, and it makes it impossible. And I'm not going to get into the government here. I'm getting into it. It's a big mess. Even for a small business here, it's very hard. I do see businesses that you can start here, like maybe a transportation business, like a taxi business or a high class taxi business or something like that. And you start an app. There's a guy up north that's doing that now. That's one of the guys. I took down his name and I lost his name and information and stuff. But I might have even did a video on him. I'm gonna have to check and see. But he's a person that's starting out up in Manila, and he's pretty good. He's good. He's got a good little business going. I don't know if it's going to be profitable or not, but I think it will be from what it sounds like. He told me his business plan and everything. Francisco Fletes says opening a business in the Philippines is also called gambling. Yes. Don't invest any money you can't afford to lose. The assumption is that the business will fail. If it succeeds, it'll be a pleasant surprise. Yes, it will be. Very pleasant surprise, because it usually doesn't happen. And a lot of guys don't understand that. They think, you got a better chance of the business making it because you're there or something like that. No, it doesn't work that way. In the Philippines, it's just not worth doing. Sinful says, Dari, wow, that is bad. I sent a large amount to BDO from the US with no issues. But I was sweating for 2 days. I waited. Yes, it takes about 2 days for BDO. With Remitly, it's pretty fast though. I don't know how it would work. If it would go, like sometimes it goes in like 15 minutes, but I don't know if a large amount would go that way. I don't think it would. Runs with knives. COLA for 100% disabled vets will go up in December to roughly $300 per month. That's pretty good, Runs with knives says more. Francisco Fletes says, I cannot see them legalizing any drugs in the Philippines anytime soon, especially if Sara Duterte runs after Marcos as expected. She'll continue her dad's war on drugs. Sinful says, Philip Jones, he could be a beta tester. I have done that with companies before, and I got a product early. Dickie Spaz, JLB, live stream legend. Yes, he does a lot of live streams now, and I don't really like the live streams. It doesn't have the same quality as the old JLB stuff. I missed the JLB where he walked on the streets. He was kind of fun to listen to, and he kind of had a little bit of a personality going on too. and he was kind of fun to watch. Um, if he starts doing that again, I think he would be more successful than the live stream stuff. But I think the COVID had a lot to do with that. Dari says you would think the Philippine government would address the money transfer issues so as to let foreigners boost their economy and help the locals. Yeah, you would think, but they don't. A lot of things the government just doesn't get involved with for whatever reason. I think they just um, it's like a blind eye. They have enough problems looking after their own people, never mind looking after foreigners coming in. But I think it brings a lot of money and it does help the economy, and they should pay more attention to that. Francisco Fletes says the biggest transfer I made was my 10K international wire transfer from USA to DBA for my SRB deposit. I've transferred more than that for personal things, for like budget use and stuff like that, but I don't do it very often. Just to try it, I tried it once. I think that was the first time they flagged my account, but they did go through later on. Dari, hello, Scotty boy, if you're still on here. Regular guy in the Philippines says, Dari, my good man, always good to see you on lives. Armando says, Mike Engel, to open a business requires a Filipino as a partner. Yes, and 60-40, you will own no more than 40%, and that goes for vloggers too, by the way. If you go to to do your business here and you do a vlogging business, it is owned by your partner or whatever. It doesn't mean she owns the channel, she owns the business, because the channel is under your name. They can't really take that away from you because it's registered in the US. So but they own the part of the business, and you have to have that to register to do your taxes and stuff like that. So it definitely makes it harder for some people. You can pick an attorney to do that or something too, and that also helps out. Let's see. BJ says those lucky 100%ers, but then again, you're at 100% for a reason. I mean, the people that are 100%, it's not fun to be on 100% because those people suffer. Some of them, because I've met some people that are 100%. And I know some of their issues, and there's walking disabilities and there's mental health disabilities, and then there's people in wheelchairs and stuff like that. And a lot of people don't understand the VA stuff, and a lot of VA people take a lot of hits because they say, well, you're just a faker or something like that. And I've seen a lot of people get slammed for stuff like that, and I knew some of those people that were getting slammed for it, and I knew the issues that they had. And if you lifted up their shirt and they showed you, you'd say, oh, now I understand. And a lot of people don't see that part, or the mental health things that they go through. But I've seen it. I used to walk into the VA, and I used to volunteer there helping out back in Massachusetts, and you do see some people down there, and you see them walking around, and they tell you that they're 100%, and it's like, well, and then you start talking to them for a while, and you see why. Francisco Fleta says, I have an HSBC Premier account. I can easily move money between countries and currencies. That's cool. Let's see. Regard says, regular guy in the Philippines, keep a historical perspective. There has been a sovereign of England longer than has been a pope. Sinful says, Francisco Fleta says, haha, I did a much larger amount. I was sweating bullets. Philip Jones says, Sinful's, yeah, maybe that's how he got Starlinks. I'll message him to find out. It's obvious he's got a lot of money. It's a good test for Starlinks. Sinful says, you can send large amounts with no issue if the source is legit. Trust me on this. Spurlin Edwards says, I opened an account with Security Bank with just a passport. Yeah, you can do that stuff. I mean, some of the banks they're easier than others. Some want all kinds of. BDO man was asking me for like 2 or 3 IDs. Regular guy in the Philippines, what's on the ceiling, Steve? I think you're looking at this stuff. It's not on the ceiling. There's nothing on the ceiling. Let's see. Francisco Fleta says, I'm actually wondering how to transfer large amounts of pay to pay off house mortgage here. When I bought the house, it was 9 million pesos. I put in 2 million down payment, finance 7 million at 7% for 7 years. It might be a good idea. British expat in the Philippines, catching up with your content. Great watch. Let's see, when you're walking around the cage. Thanks. I actually like walking down there. It's kind of peaceful, but they're doing work down there now, and there's a dog near the cage now, so that belongs to one of the workers there. I actually think that some of the guys are living in that cage. Um, some of the guys that are working on the barn down there, I call it the barn. It's like a big area where they store stuff, but they're fixing all that up and they're fixing everything. Let's hope they redo the walkways down there. Tim K says for 15,000 SRV deposit, can this all be done electronically, or will I at some point be required to go to the bank? You're gonna have to do it. You're gonna have to come here, and they'll give you all the information. You'll open up an account, and then you have to transfer it from the U.S. to here while you're here. Okay, so you have to do it that way. If you have any questions on that, you can always call me. Just send me an email at Steven5975 at yahoo.com, and then I can help you do all that stuff. AJ Pat says thoughts about Prince Charles becoming UK's new king. There's talk that he might only do that for 2 years and let his son take over. So let's see, like he's a controversial figure given the story of what happened between him and Princess Diana. Yes, and the people that decide a lot of things on royalty over there are actually asking him to give up the throne in 2 years and let his son take over, because it's with the longevity of kings and stuff like that and queens. They're saying it's actually kind of hurting the royalty over there, and they're asking that his son take over, and that might actually be a good thing for them too, I think. Francisco Fletcher says, when I bought a house, exchange rate was 48 to 1, now it's 57 to 1. My loan amount went from 150K to about 120K. I want to pay it off quick. Need to move money over. LOL. It might be a good idea, you know. Sinful says, Dari, True on China Bank ATM does 20K PHP per withdrawal. I have done multiple in a day. Jean Lim says, we have a Swedish friend. A girl came and visited us for quite a few times, and she was a beauty. Yeah, a lot of the girls that are Swedish are very beautiful. But the Swedish do tend to gain weight when they get older, starting in their 30s or 40s sometimes. They start gaining a lot of weight. You know, a lot of the women over there, I noticed. Darius says, Steve, you talking about the coast-to-coast radio broadcast. While Art Bell is no longer with us, there are some interesting topics to listen to. Yes, Art Bell has he had a great radio show, and it was kind of fun to listen to. Always interesting topics. You know who I used to like is Lowell Thomas. Now a lot of you guys don't remember Lowell Thomas. He was really old, but my father used to get recordings of his stuff, and I used to listen to that as a child. Let's see. Dari says sin, yes, but to get back on the podcast, there's a lot of wonderful podcasts on there. James Franklin says Click and Clack was one of my favorite radio programs. Okay. My father used to listen to Amos and Andy, the old radio shows. He used to have tapes of those, and he used to like those. Then they had the Amos and Andy show, too. Philip Jones, that'd be controversial today, though. Philip Jones says the THC levels are too high in the U.S. and shouldn't be legalized. It runs the heart rate up to 180 beats per minute. Good they won't legalize it in the Philippines. Regards, says Nick here. Thank you for your feedback on inflation pinch. That's really awesome. You know Charleston. I work on the staff at the Citadel doing what the Navy taught me. There we go. That's a good job then. Darius says you can open an account in the U.S. with the Philippine National Bank or Metro Bank. Both banks are Philippines. They are stipulations, though. Metro requires an initial deposit to be left alone for 6 months. I think if you open an account, though, in the U.S., it's not an international account. I think it's only for in the U.S. You might want to check on that, because BDO is in New York, supposedly. And if you open an account there, it's not the same over here. You can't just walk into the bank and pull money out of it, from what I understand. You could through your ATM, but if you walked up to the counter, I don't think you could. So you may want to ask about that to make sure. See, Regard says, if the snipes don't show, the ship don't go. Regard says, haze, gray, and underway. Okay. Runs with Knife says, I have 3 crushed vertebrae in my lower back, but people see me parking with handicap space. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. People would think there's nothing wrong with me. And that's what people don't understand a lot of times. You know, people always judge and stuff like that. And I get really tired of that when I hear about veterans and stuff like that. I have a back problem too, so I understand where you're coming from. And I have some, pretty good damage back there. It's not seriously damaged, but it's enough to get me, a disability, because I have constant pain running down my right leg. Francisco Fletes says, I'm 100% with SMC, permanent total, $3,915 per month, 4 overseas tours that were complete Charlie Foxtrots. Let's see, Lazy Larry says, regard, so that is why I always hope that the snipes did not show. Runs are nice says, Francisco Fletes, I can relate. Regular guy in the Philippines says, Francisco Fletes, what happened to you? Regular guy in the Philippines says, Steve, I asked about the ceiling because there was something big walking up there. I don't know. I don't see anything big walking up there, but okay. Might have been a spider, or it could have been a gecko or something like that walking behind me. Let's see. Was it a spider or was it a gecko? You saw it, not me. What can you share about having life insurance living in the Philippines? I pay $62 a month for my life insurance, okay? And I get it through SBLI, and it gives me $25,000 worth of life insurance because it's a whole life policy, and it's already worth $5,000. So it also works as an emergency account too. If you ever need to get up and go, you have that. And I'm really thankful that I do have that money in there, by the way. That helps a lot. Dickie Spassis says, Francisco, were you eligible for the reduced fee SRV since you're a vet? Sinful says, Francisco Fletes, I did my large transfer with USA to BDO with no issues. Leonard Lund says, once you file SSA, account stops showing estimated amount. Okay. Sinful says, Steven5975 at yahoo.com. So if you guys need anything, just, it takes 3 days usually for me to get back to you. Francisco Fletes says, there's only one of me in Afghanistan for a period of 3 months, means any helicopter rides and or car rides, none of those were good for your health. They're going from FOB to FOB. Philip Jones says, fly to Guam or Seoul and go to BOFA or Navy Federal and withdraw $10K and bring it back with you. It'll give you a break. Both places are a great way to spend a few days. Flights are less than $300. Yeah, Guam's pretty cheap on some of their flights if you shop around. I'm actually thinking about flying to Guam maybe and do a couple days over there, maybe next year or something like that. It might be a good trip. Maybe I'll get a couple of the guys to go or something like that. That might be a fun trip to go on, just to go there, spend a couple of days in Guam, and then come home. Francisco Fletes says, I got lower rate for my age. Normal rate for my age is 20 to 50K US dollars. Let's see. Daniel says, regular guy in the Philippines, I think it's a lizard hunting insects. Very useful when you have lizards in your home. Yeah, we have a lizard over here, and I haven't kicked him out. He hasn't done anything. I usually take him out of here. This one here, he hides during the day. I'm sure there's someplace behind when we remove everything and clean out the walls quite often, you know. But they do more good than bad. If I had more than one in here, I'd be worried because it can be messy. But one is not that bad, and it actually takes care of like ants and stuff like that. So it's kind of nice. I think that's what it is. Francisco Fletes says, for my deposit was 10K. Okay. Paul Osterhout says, howdy campers. How you doing, Paul? Francisco Fletes says, if I was over 50, my deposit would have been $1,500. Dick, yeah, because that's right too. Francisco's younger. He's younger than us. Let's see. Dickie Spaz says, thanks for the info, Francisco. BJ says, my dad is a Vietnam vet with 100% disability. We have a lot of Vietnam vets over here. We have Gary, we have Stanley, and we actually have another guy over in Tagaytay too. All nice guys. Let's see. BJ says, my dad's Vietnam. That's I read that one. Francisco Fletes says, I'll go to Guam. There we go. Yeah, let's talk about that next year. Let's get together, Francisco, next month. I've been really busy with the house and stuff this month, so hopefully next month will be easier and then we can get together, and I'll have Pax take me up to your house or whatever. Maybe if Sinfuls wants to go over there, he can pick me up and we can both go over to visit your house or whatever. I can do that video. I'll talk to Sinful sometime this week and see if he wants to do something. Maybe we can do that at the beginning of the month. But we're going to have the get-together. Let's try to get to our get-together this month. We're going to be doing it at Chili's. I'm going to be putting out everything on that pretty soon. Let's see. James Franklin says, if I go to Guam, make sure you sync it with steak night at American Legion. Okay. Philip Jones, is Medicare up to 170 US dollars a month now? I heard that it is. It's right around there. I have 3 years to get plan A and B. I'll be in the Philippines next year permanently. Can Medicare be done online or in person? I believe when you apply for your Social Security, all that comes into play. Okay, they have you fill out all that stuff. I'm not really sure if I'm going to get Medicare, to be honest with you, over here because I don't plan on leaving here for nothing. I think it might be worth it for me to get some sort of plan. I have to talk to my agent to find out what if I can still get insurance even at 75 or 80 or whatever. I might have to have some extra money put aside. But once my daughter gets out of college, I can start saving and kind of self-insure too. So, because that's the key. Because I'll be 60 pretty soon. So I mean, most people retire at 65, and here I am. I'm retired early, so I'm lucky. Um, and I plan on saving a lot more than what I have. But I also have money in Tesla and stuff like that. So I mean, I think I'll be pretty good, well off when I reach 75 or whatever. Runs with Knives says I'm 100% DAV and a heart patient. Um, James Franklin says motel costs are going to rock you. James, I take it you're talking about in Guam. I'm sure they will. I know it's expensive over there. I've heard, and the food prices are high over there too. Runs with Knives, boundaries. Yes, boundaries. Just live. Just learn to live within your boundaries. Let's see. Francisco says also new Sano Navy Lodge in Tokyo, run by U.S. Navy. The Dragon Hill Lodge in Korea has Oktoberfest specials, great German food and beer. Sinfuls was actually talking about something going on around here for Oktoberfest or something up at one of the casinos here. I got to talk to him about that a little bit more. Tim from Florida says One Health Pass. Ask what date you leave the Philippines the next time you were there. Hold on a second. This thing keeps flipping up on me for some reason. What if you don't remember the exact date? One Health Pass asks you what date you leave the Philippines last time you were there. Just, I don't know. I would just put down the year or whatever and just take a guess. That's all. You know, I don't think it's really that big of a deal. You can always tell the people I just don't remember or whatever. Or put in a date, just tie in a date or whatever, and say if they say, well, that's not the date that we show on here. Say, yeah, I didn't remember what the date was. I just put it in there because I didn't know. Scott Yun, hi from Cusco, Peru. I'm 100% TNP. I actually have a friend of mine down in Peru also. That's funny that you're there too. I will be heading off to PI after crossing off Machu Picchu off my bucket list. He just went to Machu Picchu. This is funny that you're talking to me from there because he's down there. His name's Dr. K. He was a psychiatrist that worked with kids. Interesting that you're there. Byron Thayer says, were you a lawyer in the U.S.? What was your career? You know, I went to school study to be a paralegal, but I never became a paralegal. I didn't take the paralegal courses to become a paralegal. I studied it because I wanted those under my belt for things that I thought I would need for my own businesses and stuff like that. And they actually helped me out quite a lot with real estate and stuff like that, real estate transactions and flips and rentals and stuff like that. And, you know, it helped me that way. But, you know, I'm glad that I took those paralegal courses because it helped me a lot throughout my life. Some people say I missed my calling. I should have been a lawyer back in the U.S., but I don't think I would have made a good lawyer. It's too hyper, you know. I don't think I could have did that. You know, it takes a lot of thought to become a lawyer. Travis M., I actually love doing what I do here. Believe it or not, I enjoy doing this. I enjoy helping people. I think a lawyer, there's a lot of stress that goes along with being a lawyer, especially if you lose your case or something. I'm sure you feel bad. I don't have to worry about that here. I think if I was a lawyer back home, I don't think I could be, you know, going into a court or something like that. I could be a lawyer to do homes and stuff like real estate deals and stuff like that. That's about it. Travis M., I would hate to feel the pressure of a Filipino that can collect on a life insurance policy. We would leave. I'm sure all would come out of the woodwork wanting all. Probably, yes. I agree with you on that one. That'd be kind of a sad thing to happen because they probably have to hand out money to everybody. Sinful says, Steve, I will come and get you and we can do both houses. Have lunch with Francisco. That sounds like a good idea, Sinfuls. Give me a call this week sometime, like in the middle of the week maybe, and let's plan that, okay? And we'll talk with Francisco too, okay? So we'll get in touch with Francisco. So Francisco, you get in touch. Actually, when he calls me, I'll get in touch with you and we'll do some planning. We'll get this all ironed out. We'll plan it pretty soon. That sounds like a good deal. Francisco Flett says, whoever doesn't have on-post access, let's do it after the 23rd though, or somewhere around there, okay? because I have to plan the thing with the guys and stuff like that. Sometimes that last week, so maybe around the first or something like that might be a good time to do it. Scott Young says my joints are hating the walking and at altitude. I'm sure they are. That's what I was hearing off of my friend too. Ian says, hi, Steve. I'd like to meet up with you when I visit the Philippines again. I'm a Filipino Navy veteran. I'm thinking about moving back there when I get my 100%. You know, Ian, it'd be great to have a Filipino expat over here, because you're not really an expat. You're actually a Filipino. But I mean, it'd be great to have a guy in our expat community over here. If you'd like to join our community over here, it'd be great. Um, that'd be phenomenal, you know, if you'd want to live in this area. But I mean, if you want to join our group, you're welcome to join our group too, or just come down to visit. You know, that's for sure. John Bergeron says, Medicare B will not work here. I canceled mine 4 years ago. Yes. Justin in Arkansas says, for date you left, look at stamp in the passport. There you go. There's your answer. Just look at your passport and you'll see it. Sinful says, Oktoberfest in the casino, but it's all sold out already. Okay. Oh well. Let's Sinfuls. We were actually talking about going up to the casino probably at the beginning of the year. So we were gonna do a thing with the guys. So let's talk about that later on too. You know, when we get together, we can talk about that with Francisco, or whatever. And Francisco says I'm good with that, so that's good. He says he'll be in Boracay the 23rd to the 26th. So let's just plan like around the beginning of the month then. First week of October, perfect, he says. Ian says, yes, sir. BJ, I would never say how much my life insurance policy is. Just say the bills will be covered. Yes. Yes. I let my girlfriend know how it works because I want her to understand it. My policy is really, it's a good policy with the whole life. If I ever have an emergency, I can always dip into that and take a loan out or whatever. Francisco Fletes says, we can do Denny's or TGIF in New Valley. That sounds good to me, man. Denny's, I love Denny's. Or TGIF, I'm good with either one. But Denny's is actually better in my book, I think. TGI, I like their clam chowder there, but their food is not as good as Denny's, I don't think. For Android 101, here's a topic: setting up a trust to disperse money to your widow, specifically to prevent the hordes of relatives with hands outstretched. We all need more legal training in life. I actually have an attorney here, and you can set up a trust here, and actually, this attorney is really good at doing stuff like that. So if anybody ever needs an attorney doing that, let me know. Get in touch with me. Just email me and ask me for the attorney's information. We also have a lady that does accounting too. She's an accountant. Byron Thayer says, you didn't say what your career in the U.S. was. I actually started out as a machinist, okay, and I worked also as a robotic mechanic. I worked on robots at the beginning when all these things were all starting out. I was working at a company in Billerica, a couple of companies actually, PRI Automation. We built all kinds of stuff that went into these stalker machines that stocked the silicon wafers and everything, and I built the robots that went inside those. And I also worked in the school system for almost 20 years as a school safety officer. I worked as a security guard on weekends for about 20 years too. I also worked as a therapeutic mentor with kids for about 10 to 12 years. And that was actually my favorite job, was working with the kids. I love working with the kids. Mentoring children was always my favorite thing. And it wasn't just mentoring kids, but I was also mentoring adults. I would mentor families and just give them thoughts on how to correct problems that were going on in the family and stuff like that. So, and I would work hand in hand with the therapist. That was probably the best and most enjoyable job I had, but it was also the toughest job too, but I enjoyed it. Let's see. Sinful says, yes, after the first would be good. Okay, Sinful, that's good. That's perfect for me because I just got so much going on here with the houses and stuff going on, and we got Justin coming in too. I want to help him get settled. So, let's see. Off the Beaten Path says, dual military, couple 20 years retired. At 2023, we are ready for the new chapter. Timothy says, a lot of Wake folk get a gut punch when they see you on your walkabouts wearing a mask. Don't be naive, fool. Wake up. I wear my mask because you have to wear them when you go into a store, okay? but I usually wear it under my chin during the day because you have to keep flipping it up if I'm gonna be going in and out of places and stuff. And when I usually walk back home, I usually go into Super 8, so that's why sometimes you guys see me wearing a mask. For Android 101 DIY estate, and you don't have to wear it outside anymore. DIY estate planning, then your documents to a lawyer, set her up, but don't make her a target for harassment. I agree with that, man. But my girlfriend, I don't think she'd get harassed too much. She knows how to protect herself. Trust me. Um, Sinful says Francisco Fletes, yes, good place to eat. Sinful's many choices. Francisco Fletes says, so you were like the guy on Short Circuit, number 5. LOL. I never seen that movie, so I'm not sure what you're talking about. Mike married to a Filipina. Do not leave money to an estate. The government will take taxes. That's probably true. You better off just leaving a will behind here. I just did a will here just recently. Leave to a person you can set up in monthly payments, which is the best. Lazy Larry Lee says, hi Mike, Sinful's off the beaten path. Our Philippine adventures, great to hear, and thanks for your services. Mike married to Filipina. Hi Triple L. For Android 101, speaking of estate planning, one must be married for 10 years for your widow to collect any SS one thinks he is leaving for her. Yes, I believe that's true. I've heard something about that. I know you have to be in the States for a certain amount of time too. So it's not as easy as some people think. Let's see, we're up to about 106 minutes here. So I'm going to call it a night, guys. I'm sure everybody on here is getting kind of tired. We're actually up at 87 people. We're up over 100 for a while. And things are starting to slow down on here. So it's a good time to end this. But I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight. And we will be back here on next week unless we have a problem with the internet as usual or if something comes up. Okay, but I would say like about 80% of the time I'm on here. You guys know that. It's just if we have the internet issues or if I'm away or if I have a family issue going on or we have some visitors here that night. But anyway, guys, God bless. Take care. And thanks to Sinfuls for moderating tonight on here. And thank you guys for joining us. God bless, guys. Take care. Let's see if I can shut it off now. There we go.